Evening. I'm going to open tonight's Board of Selectmen meeting on Thursday. This is Thursday, yes, Thursday, March 9th. Doesn't feel like it should be Thursday, but anyways. And we'll begin with appointments, and under that is our town moderator, Michael Todd. You're up, Michael. And Will Kidder, sorry.
Thank you, Nancy.
I guess it's a duo.
So, yes, Will has a few comments for sure. Yes, we have our new scheduling committee has successfully shanghaied 40 or so volunteers to staff the election on Tuesday and the town meeting on Wednesday night. And we were very fortunate to have 2 additional volunteer applications completed. And I think you should have a paper before you signed by me to appoint a Cindy Hancock and a Benjamin Adams.
Yep.
And if you could so vote, that would be great. We could get them in there for 2 years, and I believe they're both going to work at least one of the 2 upcoming gigs we have.
Great.
Other than that, I understand that the Highway Department will be here Monday morning to set this hall up for the elections, and fence Wednesday at 3:30 at the school. Everything else is in order. That's all I have. Did you want to add something to that? Yeah, so.
And no changes to the voting machines or anything?
He's tested, yeah, Will and Ann tested the voting machines. I couldn't get there, but they tested them all and there was no issues.
Great.
All been tested, so that's it. I guess we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, any questions?
Could be some interesting debate on Wednesday, but hey, we'll be ready.
Could be, that's what town meeting's for.
That's what town meeting's for, robust debate.
Absolutely.
As Alf Jacobson used to say, that was the whole point. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So I'm going to make a motion to bring forward the Michael's request to appoint the 2 individuals as inspectors of elections, Cindy Hancock and Benjamin Adams. So.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So you have your approved new individuals, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any general public comments? Yes, Colin.
Colin Beasley, King Hill Road. Nancy, I want to take a moment during this, your last select board meeting, at least in this term. From my point of view and on behalf of so many people who have watched your approach to governance, listened to your words, often calming, always purposeful, towards what is right, what would represent, best represent and serve all the citizens of New London, regardless of whether they were philosophically aligned, to say thank you for your commitment to the public. Thank you for your attention to the whole public in your deliberations. Thank you for your honesty and openness. Thank you for your availability, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Colin.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, under old business, we have finalized the fireworks ordinance. This has been in the works for a while. We began the discussions this summer.
The outstanding item was how you were going to handle July 4th,
Right.
and that has been changed to July 4th and additional days as provided by the Board of Selectmen. So you'll be able to say whether you want the weekend before or the weekend after, depending on what day it falls on.
So the matter will need to come up every June in order to have that resolved, or
Or even, maybe even sooner,
yeah, I
yeah.
would say probably
What I
in the
thought
spring.
is, since much of it's about the Pleasant Lake Protective Association fireworks show, so once they know the date, I've asked Will to ask them to come to the Selectmen and have the date set then. You know,
Okay.
the same, so it coincides with the fireworks show of the PLPA.
Okay, great, thanks. Bill or Janet, any comments or corrections to this? Are you fine with it? All right, I'll make a motion to accept the permissible fireworks ordinance as written.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, the motion passes, and we will sign that tonight.
Yep.
And yes, it's in the signature file.
Yep.
Okay, so under new business, so we took care of the inspectors of elections. Discuss elected officials' letter to the governor supporting more funding for education. So Maureen Prohl, who is and has always been a staunch advocate for fairness and equity in funding public education in New Hampshire, brought to our attention that there is a letter that has been penned by a number of elected officials and so forth that would go to the state legislature and the governor, taking the position that there needs to be greater equity and state contribution to the funding of public education in New Hampshire, because the legislature has continually underfunded education. The cost of education falls to local property taxes, and that has contributed ongoing to the continued disparities between towns. We have donor towns and other issues with regards to that. And this letter simply brings to the governor and the legislature's attention again their constitutional responsibility to fund public education in New Hampshire and to really have a more equitable process relative to this. There's a number of cities and towns have availed themselves of signing this, and so Maureen asked that this be brought to the Board of Selectmen to see if the Board of Selectmen would be willing to sign this letter as well. So I will open it up for comments. Bill or Janet, I'll start there.
So my only question is, do we feel this conflicts with our position on the coalition?
How would you feel that it conflicts?
Only that we're potentially asking the governor to do something that might be contrary to what the coalition wants to have happen.
But the purpose of the coalition is really equity in school funding and the whole issue of donor towns and looking for better fairness. So I don't see it as a conflict. Janet?
No, I support it.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we add our signatures to this letter. And we need to do it soon because certainly the budget process in the House is already on its way. So make that motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, and we will sign on to this letter in support of fairness and equity in education, public education in New Hampshire. Okay, next item is discuss Sunapee's health ordinance regarding pumping of septic tanks. Kim has brought this to our attention, and I'll have Kim say a little bit more about it. But this is really an informational item because it was just finalized in January, and there really isn't any experience with it. But
Right.
Kim?
The town of Sunapee has been working with LSPA on these kinds of, on ways to protect the lake from septic tanks that are not well maintained. So the town of Sunapee has adopted these regulations under the authority of health regulations to require routine pumping of septic tanks. They shared this with Newbury as well, and the Newbury Selectmen are aware of it. The town administrator in Newbury and I met with Shannon Martinez, who's the town manager in Sunapee, about this, because she wanted to encourage Newbury and Sunapee, Newbury and New London, obviously, to sign on at some point. So the way we left it was that we will be monitoring their experience with it. They're going to try it out, see how it works. If it does work and they have success, and the pumping of the tanks does increase the safety of the lake, I think it would be something that New London might want to consider. But we'll have some data before we bring it back before the board.
So did this have to go in front of the town or for
Town meeting,
town
no.
vote
This
at all?
is a health office,
Well,
health
they don't have
regulation.
town meeting. They're SB2.
Right, they're
aren't they?
SB2. But this is a health regulation, and the selectmen and the health officer
see.
together are the town's health board. So we are able to, you would be able to adopt these as health regulations. You'd have a public hearing.
Interesting. And do you know if there was any controversy in terms of the public hearing?
I think there's some, because, sometimes property owners don't like to be forced to do things. And if you see in here, at first, they're not really going to do much to enforce. It's going to be trying to get people on board with it, to understand what's going on before they actually start penalizing people. And, these are like all other regulations, voluntary, and voluntary compliance is what you got to try and get. So that's what they're going to try for.
Kim, do you know if the Messer Pond Protective Association has seen this?
I don't think so, no.
Maybe that would be a good idea to forward it to John and let him take a look at it, because, you know, they've been monitoring the septic systems on Messer Pond, so this might be helpful to them.
Yeah, I think that they would definitely be in favor of New London adopting something
Right.
like this. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. I think all lake, properties around the lake, people who are worried about lake quality would be very interested in these. I can share them with all our lake protective associations.
I think that's a good suggestion. Okay, any questions or discussion? No. Okay. So unrelated, but we do have an updated New London Sewer Ordinance, our rules and regulations. Kim, do you want to speak to that first?
It's sort of related to water quality, because everything reaches the lakes at some point, right?
Right, but not septic system.
Not septic systems, correct. We have always had sewer collection regulations. These are updated, and as you may recall, was a couple of months ago when we were at a Sunapee, New London Wastewater meeting. They asked about our updated regulations. We worked on these with Underwood Engineers, Bob Harrington, and the folks in wastewater, Sam Clark. So these are updated. They are updated to reflect current laws and procedures that we have. So I think they are in form now where you could adopt them.
Okay. Bill or Janet, any comments or questions? Okay, so I'll make a motion that we accept the updated New London Sewer Ordinance, rules and regulations.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye? Bill?
Aye.
Yep, okay, so the motion passes. Next item is to consider a request from New London Place LLC for a letter of town support for a grant application. Do we have anyone who's going to speak to that, or I don't see anyone? Do you want to fill us in, Kim?
Sure.
Thanks.
We got a request from Mike Black. He's with New London Place Realty LLC. This is in regards to the New London Place project that is hopefully going to start in 2023 on Parkside. Apparently, there is a grant program, the USDA Forest Service Community Wood Program, and applications can be made by various organizations. So New London Place would like to submit an application and ask for your support. In the letter that they want the board to send, they say the proposed state-of-the-art heating cooling plant that's going to be at New London Place is an innovative renewable energy feature of the proposed development that was reviewed and approved as part of the site plan by our planning board. New London has a progressive vision of clean energy and energy efficiency in our community and a very active town energy committee. The project, as well as other renewable energy and efficiency measures that are planned as part of the New London Place development, is entirely consistent with this vision. In addition, the proposed use of locally and sustainably sourced wood chips as the fuel will help keep the project's fuel dollars in our local economy and support jobs in our community. I understand that the application will request a $1 million grant.
And no obligation from the town.
Correct.
Can I ask, so Janet, you're on the planning board, so the site plan included a wood-burning heating cooling plant?
Yeah,
Wood burning?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it has, yeah.
And there's no concerns relative to the energy efficiency of that over anything else?
It's not supposed to emit any pollutants into the air, that sort of thing. In fact, Spring Ledge Farm has something similar that they are implementing as well. So the point is to use waste wood products, and it's a renewable resource.
And I think the excess heat generated is going to heat their sidewalks to keep them free of ice.
Yeah, yeah, there were a number of areas where they thought it
We'll
would
see
be
how that works.
beneficial for the site. I'm in favor of this because I'd like to see them get started and get that site cleaned up, because it doesn't look very nice.
I think everybody would like to see the project start. I think it's interesting that that's the mode of energy that they're choosing, but anyways. Okay, Bill, any comments, questions? All right, so is there Do we want to approve this? Make a motion? Sure. I can't hear you, Bob. Sorry.
Were you aware this has been brought to the Energy Committee?
No, it doesn't say anything about that in this.
Well-
Was it?
You might, it was fascinating. I happened to be there for a different reason, and it's fascinating to listen to.
The presentation?
Yeah, and whether you support it or not is going to be a sort of a matter of a personal, but you might ask Jamie about it. I think their problem is they got a time constraint. They have to have it in by March 11th or something. Anyway, Energy Committee's familiar with it.
Yep. Thanks, Bob. Okay, Janet, do you want to make a motion?
I move that we support, we send a letter of support for the proposal by, what do they call it? New London Place?
The London Place Realty LLC.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and that concludes new business. Town Administrator's report?
Hopefully, everybody's gotten their copy of the annual report. There's some up on the stage with, I think, a really nice picture from artist Sue Ann Bottomley for the cover. She was nice enough to allow us to use it for the cover, which memorializes all the work that was done at the Barn Playhouse this year in 2022. We also got a municipal matters out today. Hopefully, we're trying to remind everybody about elections and town meeting. As I mentioned in one of the articles, there's still a lot of confusion about what happens when, so hopefully we get the word out on that. And that's all I have. We're all ready for town meeting. Chairs are rented. AV's ready to go.
Great.
Should be set.
Okay, update on committee meetings and reports?
The planning board met on February 28th. We had tree cuttings again. The final site plan review for Twin Pines Housing Trust has been continued to March 28th. There were a number of issues raised, but the planning board determined that is not a project of regional impact, which would have required notifying area towns. Also, the applicant wanted the annexation of the property, and that was continued to the 28th as well. Then there was a public hearing on from Jeff Daly, one of our police officers, to have a residential home business with regard to coating metal and plastic items with guns, coating guns with a metal and plastic, and that protects them. So there's no noxious fumes being emitted from this sort of thing, and he has to receive approval from the feds. So he has received that, and this is something that he's going to do at his house. Have any questions? It's kind of hard to understand for a while. But the business will take place indoors, and there's adequate parking for anyone who visits him. Also, there was a conceptual proposed by David Guimond with regard to 331 Main Street. This is the property where the Red House was between New London Inn and Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. They're talking about building something that would house small food vendors. It would have family-style seating, and the parking lot where the red building was would be, all the parking would be in the back of the building. Any questions? That was it.
Okay. Bill, do you have anything?
The Waste Reduction Committee had a bi-monthly meeting and spent a lot of time talking about the problem with lack of recycling outlets at this particular point. Obviously, no resolution, but it continues the concern of many citizens on the fact that we have limited our recycling of paper products at this point.
Okay, meeting minutes. So we don't have the minutes of February 23rd. Oh, we just received them, so we're going to hold off that'll be something that can happen at the next meeting. So upcoming meetings, the next Board of Selectmen's meeting is Thursday, March 23rd. Again, we have town elections on Tuesday, March 14th, 7 to 7, and town meeting on Wednesday, March 15th at 7 PM at the Kearsarge Learning Campus Gymnasium. All right, any other business to come before the board?
In conjunction with town meeting, could we set the times when the selectmen are going to share being present, please?
In conjunction with town meeting?
Excuse me, town voting?
Town voting,
Town voting?
sure. I'll take midday. Janet?
Okay, I'll do 7 to 11.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, so hearing no other business, then I think that concludes the business part of the meeting, and we'll approve pay vouchers and permits, so that was quick. There we go.